Few months ago, I was spending my free time on every developer's pastime, just minding my own business. In between sessions, I noticed that I'd received a notification. It was my friend announcing that he had passed his AWS certification exam. I had never heard of AWS before and was curious about what it was. So I did what any self-respecting developer would do. I politely congratulated him and went back to playing a war god bear fighting an archdemon of war. Later on, a coworker mentioned how AWS was the hottest new technology, so I immediately bought a Udemy course on it. Well, really, it was more like 8 Udemy courses. I respect my friends, by the way. So it turns out, AWS is short for Amazon Web Services. Amazon is essentially selling their servers as a service, and that this was within the discipline known as cloud computing. When my Udemy instructor explained this, I thought, hey, that sounds like a great way to have my own website. So I immediately stopped watching the course and researched how much having a domain on AWS would cost. $12 a year? That's like 1.5 days of minimum wage. 600 pesos has never flown from my wallet faster. At first, I just made VHCBlade.com redirect to my YouTube channel, with the hope that I would make a real website later. There was just one teensy tiny problem. Despite having been a software developer for more than 3 years, I had never actually worked on a website before. But how hard could it be, right? At the very least, I knew that there were generally 2 ways to serve a website. One option is having a dedicated server handle requests and build responses. This is also known as a dynamic website, since each user gets different responses. This is great for websites that have a lot of user interaction. Alternatively, I could just serve the files directly, also known as a static website, since everyone gets the same thing. Like a responsible website owner, I decided to do a cost-benefit analysis of the 2 approaches. So I headed over to calculator.aws to see how much it would cost. Let's see. Running my own server would require an EC2 instance. Let's pick the least powerful one because I'm cheap. And let's just have it on demand going 100% of the time. 2 gigabytes of storage. $557. That's almost half of how much it cost me to have a domain. Alright, let's see how much it costs to do static hosting with Amazon S3. 2 gigabytes, 1 million requests, because why not? 10 gigabytes of full every month, 45 cents. Static hosting it is. Alright, so now I need to figure out how I'm going to make this website in the first place. I could start learning some kind of JavaScript framework, like Vue or React. However, that would require me to hunker down and actually learn something new. I'm only working on this in my free time, and I'd rather not spend that much time studying. Besides, JavaScript is kind of an icky language with its weak typing and the fact that it isn't a snake. So I decided to reach back into my high school days and try writing my website in pure HTML and CSS. I also remember hearing about how Bootstrap is something you can just attach to websites to make them look pretty. So let's just throw that in there. I decided I would try doing this for 4 hours on a Saturday to see how much progress I make. After 4 hours of hard work, this is what the result looked like. Man, this looks terrible. This took me half a day. I'm going to have to rethink my strategy. So it turns out, Bootstrap only helps if you already know what you're doing. So I decided to just throw Bootstrap in the trash and write the CSS myself. After a week, I decided to give it another go. Same deal, 4 hours on a Saturday to see how much progress I'll have. Alright, that's a little bit better. Looks pretty good. But if I keep going at this rate, I'll have a minimum viable product, or MVP, in about half a year. Yeah, so I decided to just put it on the back burner for a bit. Hey, did you know that Flutter can be deployed on the web now? Yeah, but Flutter Web was previewed a few years ago and it's still in beta. I heard it was pretty good already. Just try it. Fine, I'll just export some of my old projects. Oh wow, that was easy. Can I still do everything I made on the app? Wow, that's kinda crazy. Alright, we're back in business. So this time, I spent a day and a half to make my website since I already knew how to use Flutter. It ate into my normally scheduled weekend activities, but hey, that's worth it to have my own website. After I put in that work, I was finally done. And here's what it looks like. Oh, it looks really cool. Kind of reminds me of those blogs that I see online. Wait a minute. I just made a glorified blog, didn't I? Should have just used WordPress or something. Wait a minute! Right now, literally anyone can download my files from my S3 bucket. Even if AWS gave protection through VHCBlade.com, people can still easily access my S3 bucket directly. Someone could just make requests for files nonstop and raise my AWS bill really high. I'd rather not get bankrupted by some 17-year-old that knows Python. Luckily, a couple of hours of research led me to CloudFlare, which is a free solution to the problem. CloudFlare is what is known as a Content Delivery Network, or CDN. CloudFlare essentially acts as the middleman between the users of my website and my S3 bucket. CloudFlare keeps its own copy of the data that's within my S3 bucket and decides whether it should get a more updated copy or just return the copy it already has. This means that the amount of damage that could be done is severely limited, since CloudFlare will be the one dealing with the bogus requests instead of my S3 bucket. When you're setting CloudFlare up, by the way, make sure you change the name servers of your domain and not your hosted zone. I wasted a day on that error. After CloudFlare is set up, you can even delete the Route 53 hosted zone, saving you even more money. After you follow the instructions from CloudFlare, you'll no longer have to make your S3 objects public. I didn't know how to do that, so I just deleted all the data in my bucket and re-uploaded it. Hey, I needed to update my website anyway. And now my website is protected. I even got HTTPS for free. It's not really needed since it's a static website, but hey, it makes it look more secure. Amazon actually has its own version of CloudFlare called CloudFront. However, CloudFront costs money to use, whereas CloudFlare is free. I'm not really sure how CloudFlare is just completely free. Normally, I'm more suspicious of services that are free, but the idea of getting billed a gigantic AWS fee is just too great. So for now, I'll just blindly trust CloudFlare. And I think that's it. So, that's how I deployed my first ever website, VHCBlade.com.